At one time we were driving on, it was I-680, and we were just driving straight, and we looked to our right, and our trailer's right next to us. Like, the entire hitch fell out. I don't know how. So when I bought the company, like, a month in, I literally broke my face. Bell palsy, like, it's half my face stopped working. It was drooping, like I couldn't even like smile. Like apparently it's like a 6-month recovery. And I was the best man at one of my best friend's weddings, and that was like a month away. It's like I can't go to a wedding looking like, it looked like I had a stroke.
What would be your advice to people either our age or maybe even younger where you were at when you started and they want to get into some kind of business?
I would say one for sure is just
Welcome back to the Traditions and Trends podcast. My name is Luke Relfs. I'm the marketing director at Oracle Insurance. With me, as always, I got our CEO, Will Stephanie.
What's up, everybody?
Man, we are excited today. We have a special guest. Before I get into talking a little bit about him, Traditions and Trends, we've been running this podcast for a while now, and really the whole goal is just to bridge generations with traditional expertise and trend insights, get some knowledge and glean some from people that have been in business and doing the various things that they've been doing for 25, 30, 40 years, but then also to have some young cats on here that are killing it, that are entrepreneurs, that maybe didn't go the conventional route, and just talk to them a little bit about what has your life looked like, what does your business look like. And so today I'm introducing my friend, Jacob Michalski. Jacob, how you feeling today, bro?
pretty aggressively nervous, but we're here.
Hey,
you're gonna do great, dude.
Yeah, he's raw and real. We're just having fun. I told him literally right before we started this, like it's just sitting down, having a conversation. I don't know about y'all, but I love watching and listening to podcasts. It's just so real. A lot of content and videos and things in the next couple years are already moving towards just more raw and authentic. People just want to spend time with people, learn from people, get educated in a fun and genuinely conversational way. And so I'm so excited for this. So let me get into this here a little bit and open this dude up. So Jacob, you're the president of Rocky's Stone and Design. Rocky's is a landscape supply company. You guys specialize in natural stone. It's locally owned here and operated in Omaha, Nebraska. You are only 23 years old, which is crazy.
Wow.
You've been self-employed since you were 15. What you actually started off doing is back in high school, back in the day, you were running a lawn care and landscape company with your brother, started with 3 lawns and growing it up to 300 plus weekly lawns. You ended up getting out of that just a couple years ago in 2022 and switching over to landscape wholesale sales. And so you officially opened Rocky's Stone Design in April 2022. So really close to exactly 2 years ago now. Within the first year, you guys had doubled the previous owner sales. And then the second year, you doubled your own sales again after that. So we're talking some numbers there. And I love this. When we were texting, just talking about what we were going to chat about today, you said the mission at Rocky's is to be the most honest and ethical trade partner of choice, to provide superior service, premium stone, and other product components that's both affordable and accessible to the hardscape construction industry. And so I love that. And let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Obviously, you're a young dude. You've been an entrepreneur now for coming up, in a couple years, 10 years, and you're
only 23.
Yeah, only 23 right now. Think about that. In 2 years from now, you will have been self-employed and an entrepreneur for 10 years. Where does the drive come from for you to just say, hey, I'm not going to maybe go the conventional route. I have a passion and a desire to help people and to do my own thing. Maybe start with the lawn business and how you got into it being only 15 years old.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I first started, it wasn't even my idea. It was actually my brother's idea, and because he didn't want to work, for someone, and he actually just needed a driver. I was decently of age where we were close enough in the neighborhood that I could drive us. So it wasn't even my idea to begin with.
Is he your younger brother?
Younger brother, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
He was 13 and I was 15, so I was driving us illegally throughout the neighborhood just to get the lawns going, and yeah, it just kind of took off, and it just became something that, I couldn't even imagine. But I always kind of struggled with authority. Growing up, I went through a pretty troubled phase in my life where I was doing a lot of not good things. And I always struggled with talking with or even dealing with, authority of any matter, like teachers, cops, whatever. And so it's kind of like, it sounds funny, but it's kind of what started my ideal of I didn't want to have to listen to or deal with or, be under someone because I always felt like back when I was younger, it was just, I couldn't deal with people being, thinking they were better than me. So I didn't want to have to deal with someone that was, maybe quote unquote higher up than me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what sparked the interest of wanting to, get into the game and start, being my own boss, like dealing my own things and making all the rules myself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching the podcast. We are going to get right back to it, but I just wanted to thank our sponsor of this podcast, Oracle Insurance. As many of you know, let's be real, everything is more expensive these days. Our gas, our groceries, our food, everything. But insurance doesn't have to be that way. If you're figuring out that you're paying way too much for your home, auto, life, any of the things as far as your insurance goes, go ahead and call the number on the screen, and I will also link the website in the description below. It's completely free to get a quote and just see if we can help you out and save you some money. But thanks so much for tuning in. Let's get back to it. Started off pretty humbly doing a couple lawns for people with your brother. You're super young. You're in like the middle of high school at this point. You start driving basically halfway through high school for most kids. Yeah, legally. Make that clear. And so you start in middle of high school. Were you just grinding anytime outside of school on doing the business? Were you just going door to door and finding clients for lawn service? What was kind of the process of getting your business up and running once you made the jump and you're like, well, I guess we're mowing people's lawns now and this is what we're gonna do?
I know for me, a big thing has always just been free marketing of Facebook, Instagram, or just texting people and hoping that, maybe they'll give you a chance. Or even just when I was doing the lawn company, it was the Nextdoor app. It's such a silly app full of people that are always complaining about things, but it's a really good place to get business.
Yeah, they talk a lot,
Yeah, a lot of talking. And so, I mean, just between that and then we also bought, thousands and thousands of flyers and just walked all weekends and just knocking on doors, putting them on the door if they didn't answer, kind of door-to-door salesman. But it for sure paid off in the end because, we got to the point where, it was me and my brother and then like 3 friends that were just mowing. And I think the best thing about mowing was just, it wasn't even just like a job. It was just more of like, I got to hang out with my brother who me and him are close with, super close with. And that's just never been an issue there. Like, I can't even think of one time we've ever fought.
Yeah.
Like we're,
That's crazy.
and on top of it, you're doing it with like some of your best friends. So just being able to, just have fun, be able to like provide, not only for yourself, but for your friends. Like that's just something like super cool.
That's awesome.
And like, it wasn't just, like something that, like we were able to just have fun with it. Like, like on 4th of July every year, we always wore cutoffs. That was USA themed. We were like the shortest swimsuits that we could find. And just, we were mowing. Like if 4th of July fell on a weekday, like we were mowing and whatever we could find that made us just look stupid. And it was just fun.
Now,
awesome.
Since you started so young, and you were 15, your brother was 13, and you're starting a business. I mean, I started a business when I was 25, and I had some, where I tripped and had to learn over that. Do you have an example of something as, at that age, I'm assuming you didn't do everything exactly right. You had to, at some point, be like, oh, that was a bad idea. I should do this something different. Do you have anything that pops off the top of your head that you're like, man, I learned a ton from that at a young age because you're still young?
I mean, honestly, with the lawn and landscape side was, for some reason, people just thought we were like super professional. Like I feel
it sounds like it, on 4th of July and everything too. Yeah.
If you hire, in my head, I just feel like if you hired a 15 and 13-year-old or even like 18 below, like you're not getting like this most professional service. And maybe like we were just putting that off. And we had some hiccups along the road just because, like one example, like when we were mowing the lawn, we didn't have our like grass catcher on the side. So this brand new white, beautiful fence. It was a little bit rainy a couple days before, and we coated the entire fence. White became green instantly. Or like us driving a trailer, like when we mowed from like Waterloo all the way to Council Bluffs, like a far span, which isn't really ideal because if you are going to mow lawns, you want it tight.
Right.
Like make sure your drive time's slim to none. But at one time we were driving on, it was I-680, and we were just driving straight, and we looked to our right, and our trailer's right next to us. Like the entire hitch fell out. I don't know how, but the chain saved us. Like fully strapped mowers on the trailer, like everything was secure, which was awesome. But like when you're driving straight and you look to your right and you see your trailer next to you, you're like, oh my gosh.
Now what?
Yeah, like it's just one of those situations that like I know, like I've had a lot of situations in my life where I know God's there just because like I should have died. Like I don't even know how many times. But yeah, just like little things like that where like safety or you just thinking, like using your brain. Like, just little stuff that, my mom always tells me, your brain isn't fully developed till you're 26. And my brain probably isn't even developed yet. But yeah, it's just one of those things, like the little stupid things, like you just taking your time, walking through, like double thinking, like just don't rush it. Like I feel like nowadays everything's just like so instant.
Right.
Where I feel like everyone just wants the instant, satisfaction, gratification, like whatever. Like even just instant results where like I feel like if we would have just took the time to slow down, like think about things, we would have avoided a lot of the hiccups along the way.
Yeah, no, that's simple but true.
No, that's a great point. So it gets me thinking, you were talking about it, and it's just so funny when you bring it up because you and a couple buddies were like, you were on my younger brother's basketball team back in the day. And so yeah, I know you guys were a crazy bunch for sure. So it gets me thinking, when you were getting into being an entrepreneur that young, were there any of the life lessons you were learning as being a young person and maybe doing some crazy things that you look back, you're like, man, we really shouldn't have been doing that? Do you feel like any of that bled into the business side of things? Or was it always, you know what, maybe I'm being a little crazy with my friends outside of maybe inside of school, but outside of school and work? Or was it, no, man, when I look back, some of the things I was doing, it did impact maybe how much I was able to work, how I was able to do my jobs? Or were those pretty separate where you were like, dude, when it's time to work, I'm locked in, I'm as professional as I can be as a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid? What was it like navigating growing up as you're starting and running a business?
Honestly, it sounds funny to say, but like I went through my quote unquote troubled phase when I was in middle school. So like that's when I was, drinking, smoking weed, stealing, getting arrested, like suspended, like XYZ, like so I always joke about it because like I'm happy I went through that because I feel like, maybe not everyone goes through a troubled phase, but I'm happy I went through mine at a younger age because I feel like even now being a business owner, like I get to make all these mistakes young where I just like my joke is nothing I did when I was younger is on my record. So I don't have to deal with that, nowadays. But so like I actually went through like I feel like I got all the stupidity out, not all of it, but a lot of stupidity out at a younger age before I even started my company. Where I think, because when I would have been 15. So right when the mowing company started was actually when I gave my life to Christ. So, I actually lost a lot of friends on the way. I think for 6 months at Elkhorn South, I sat alone at lunch because all my friends I used to be with didn't want to, sit with me. Yeah. Because, I was just trying to live a different lifestyle. And, but now I have so many of my friends in my life that, started following Christ and all this other stuff. But, so I think my biggest thing was always trying to navigate, running a business, trying to have fun, because you're young, and that makes it hard sometimes. I feel like because like the worldly fun and the godly fun clashes. But I think the biggest part was just trying to figure out how to live a godly life, running a business, and being a kid. And I don't think I ever mastered that. I feel like I'm still not mastering that, but that's for sure something that I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, that's a great point. What would be your advice to some people who are younger, maybe even our age now? I'm 24, about to turn 25, you're 23. What would be your advice to people either our age or maybe even younger where you were at when you started and they want to get into some kind of business. They want to start something. They don't want to go the traditional route, if you will, of going to college. Or what would you say to someone who's like, dude, I want to start my own business, and you're just sitting down with them. You're like, yo, make sure you do this. Make sure you don't do that. This is how you really figure out what it is that you enjoy and assess the market and all those things. What would you say to someone who wants to get into that and they're young and maybe feel like, I don't know if I can do this because I'm young?
Yeah. I mean, I would say one for sure is just, I mean, find what makes you happy. Because, I mean, I would have never thought I'd be where I am right now, you know, selling stone. Like, it's so weird to me just to even think about, like, because, I mean, when I was in, you know, high school, I was mowing lawns and doing landscaping. Like, you know, brute force, like, you know, labor intensive. Like, it's just, it's easy. Like, you don't need really much to get started. And it was, but I enjoyed it because I was doing the people I loved. And on top of it, you just got that, like, you know, again, like that instant satisfaction. Like, you mow a lawn, you get those nice clean stripes, and you're like, wow, that's awesome. You take a picture of it, you post it, awesome. But, I mean, if I was telling someone, like, in your 20s, it's like, for me, like, why not just try? Like, why sit around and wait? And I feel like there's a lot of times, like, you know, even my family, like, it's about half and half. Like, you know, like, there's a lot of people in my family that are, if you don't go to college, you're not going to make it. Like, it's this or that. Like, and it was just, again, it's like just what, you know, kind of what you're raised as, or like, you know, set in your mind, like, you're just old dogs, new tricks type of stuff. But, like, so for me, I tried college. I tried it for 2 years. I went to UNO, and then I went to Grand Canyon University for a year. And, you know, I went for a year for both, and it was just, both times it was just like, this is not it. Like, I can't sit in this classroom and, you know, you can't teach me how to run a business, because I was going for entrepreneurship and I was going for business, and it just, it didn't make sense to me. Like, if I want to learn how to, you know, start a business or run a business, like, I'm just going to do it. Like, it's scary. It's, you know, spooky. And, I know it's not something that it's made for everyone, but I don't know. I just feel like if you feel like college isn't for you, or you don't feel like a trade's for you, and you just feel like you want to be your own boss, and you find something that's like, you know, you wake up every day and you're like, this is it. Like, this is what motivates me. This is what makes me want to wake up. Like why not just try? Like, it's not worth, like, the regret that you're gonna have for not trying is gonna be way greater than the regret of, you know, making a mistake.
Well, I think you made a good point of starting when you're young. When I started my first business, I was 25, and then when I started our current business, I was 38 or something. Starting when I was 38 was a lot harder because I had a lot more knowledge of what could go wrong. Plus, I also had I had more kids at that point, so I had a lot more mouths to feed. So it was harder. But I think starting when you're young, especially, I mean, 15 is very young, because you don't need a lot, right? And the younger you are, I think starting when you're young, when when your commitments are a lot lower, it's a lot easier because you don't have that burden of huge house payment, 5 kids to feed, to where that can crush you sometimes. But not to say not try it. If you have enough belief and enough, you know, behind you to do it, then go for it. But I think that's a huge point. What was the biggest thing? So you're rocking and rolling on the landscape, mowing yards, and then you did a shift and shifted to stone. What was there something that just clicked where you're like, okay, I've had enough of this. I want to try something different? Was it just like you saw an opportunity and you're like, oh, I think there's a gap in the market that I can fill that? Or what was it that you saw that with?
So actually, I bought a company. It was an existing company.
Okay.
And so that was a process that makes my brain hurt. Because, I mean, I went through...
Why is that? What was it that made your brain hurt?
No one wants to loan a 21-year-old money.
Unless
it's school debt.
Yeah, I know, isn't that crazy? Like,
Everyone's
start a
for
business,
it.
you can't get a $10,000 loan, but hey, man, give me $120,000 for a history degree. They'll be like, oh, sure, here you go.
Yeah.
Will has I thought about that when we were even getting in this. I'm like, Will has talked about this so many times,
so
but
dumb.
he's so right. Like, to me, I'm like, how does that make any sense?
Because I couldn't get a loan. I had to. My father-in-law gave me a loan against his combine to start this business.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because the banks were like, nope. Like, all right, here's a combine. There you go.
Yeah, so keep talking about that, what that process looked like for you as a young person trying to figure that out and do it.
So I went through, I think it was like I don't know, like 11 different banks I tried.
Oh my goodness.
And every single one was like, nah, no. Like sometimes we went a little along the track and then they're like, they just pulled out like, it was like, no, we can't do this. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get it. If I walked into a bank, if someone like me walked in the bank was like, you know what, give me a loan for this amount. Like, and it wasn't a small amount. And I'd be like, yeah, you can go kick rocks. Like, there's no way I'm giving you that money. Like, there's no way. But I mean, honestly, like what kind of came down to was, I have the most like amazing support system in my life. Like I am forever grateful for the family and friends and everyone I have in my life. And I get told all the time, like I am so lucky for having, the people in my life. So like my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, like everyone was there helping me, like directing me. If I had a question, they pointed me in the right way. Like my favorite part about what I do now is like my uncle's my IT guy. My grandpa's like my mentor. My parents are, anytime I have a question about anything, they're there. Like if even both my uncles that work at a trucking company that my grandpa owns, like I get to work with them like every day to find trucks to bring my rocks from like out of state. Like it's just like, it's the best thing in the world because like all the people that were there in my corner, like helping me, pushing me, like to try to be great. Like now we get to work with them every day. So it's just like the best thing in the world. Like
super cool.
But yeah, it's just long story short. But when this only started was because when I was owning the lawn and landscape company, my brother and I wanted to do a Father's Day gift. So we sent my parents away. We got them a hotel in, I think, Kansas. So we got them away for the
Classic.
weekend. Yeah. Just somewhere
a lot
close,
of kids
something
do for their
cheap.
parents.
But
Will's like, what the heck?
we sent them away, and we had 3 days. The moment they left, I had semi-scheduled. They were back in with all the limestone. They dumped it. Like, we had machines getting delivered. Like, we started tearing apart the wall. I had all my friends there, like, all helping me rip apart this wall. Like, so we built this, big limestone wall, staircase, fire pit, like the whole 9 yards. And we were like finished by like 30 minutes. It was
Before they got home?
Yeah, it was the worst. My mom's like, we're on our way. We're like 3 hours away. We're like, yeah, we're not even close. Like, you better like slow down. And finally got there.
Your mom knew what was going on?
Mom knew. Mom knew. It was just for my dad, Father's Day, like, because he does way too much for us, and we just wanted to do something back. But and this all kind of started because the stone yard that I purchased, the owner was helping me with like, figuring out like, what we need, like quantity wise, like the best way to build it. And he came out to kind of look at it, and I was like, hey, whenever you're ready, like you should let me know when you want to sell. He goes, I'd sell now. I'm like, okay. So here we are. And that just took off. And, he realized he wasn't joking, and we started, talking about it, like what, sales price, like what all came with it, and XYZ. And that's when, I started working with the bank. It took about a year, like I said, like, I don't know, 12 banks or whatever, like 11 or 12 banks, all just getting denied. And then finally got a bank to stick, took a risk on me, and I think it's been benefiting them for sure. You know what banks are. They make their money.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's for sure been a very intense roller coaster, and but I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, now I'm trying to finally realize how to deal with stress. Like, I was not sure what the amount of stress was going to come with a lawn and landscape company. Your overhead's slim to none. You got trucks, trailers, machines. Like, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But when you have you have land that's, worth a lot of money, you have, like $1 million worth of inventory sitting on your yard, and you have a building, you have employees, you have sales tax, you have all this other stuff. It's like, wow, you have insurance because, you're delivering products all around, Omaha. Like, you got big CDL trucks, you have DOT regulations. It's like, wow. But it's just, it's not, it was a different ballpark.
How have you navigated that now? Because it sounds like you have a good support structure around you. You got people that are pouring into you, giving you great advice. Do you feel like that's been the thing that's kept that stress level that you've had people to go to? Or how have you navigated that?
I mean, I am the worst person at managing with stress.
Yeah.
Like, I got to the point, so when I bought the company, like a month in, I literally broke my face. Like, Bell palsy, like, it's half my face stopped working. It was drooping, like I couldn't even like smile. Like,
Oh my goodness.
it was, the worst part was apparently it's like a 6-month recovery, and I was the best man at one of my best friend's weddings, and that was like a month away. I was like, I can't go to a wedding looking like, it looked like I had a stroke.
And that was just 'cause stress induced?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I went to a bunch of different doctors. I'm like, why is this happening?
What's
Like,
going
what's
on?
going on here?
Yeah.
And they're like, it looks like a stroke.
It's not
and
so
they
much over here. It's more
Yeah,
right
it's just it was kind of funny though. Like, when you I didn't realize it until like it was like my sister's baby shower, and I was trying to smile for a picture. I'm like, what is happening? And I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh, that's not good. And it was so me, stress management is the worst. It took until like 2 months ago, probably, when I started I've been going to therapy a lot. I'm a big believer in therapy.
Yeah.
I'm big about emotions and feelings, not what men are supposed to be like. So
Right.
yeah, so I've been working, a lot in therapy and trying to figure out the best stress management, figuring out ways to avoid the stress, just because as much as I love doing what I'm doing, it's like there's a lot of weight on my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even, I only have 3 employees. So it's like, I know I don't feel like, there's 500 lives at stake, but like, it's almost just like an insecurity of mine is like, I can't fail. Like, there's no way I can I can't, one day be like, you know what, I couldn't do it. Like, I have to close this, I have to sell it, I have to do whatever. So that's always just been like a really, really, really big stress factor, because I know I don't want to I know my parents would love me no matter what, my family would love me no matter what, my friends would love me no matter what, but it's just back in the mind, the insecurity of there's no way I want to fail.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you touched on a good point. I think that's a lot of people will love the idea of starting a business, but I think you nailed it. Like, you don't understand some of the burdens you got to bear when you are a business owner. I mean, you're the janitor, you're the CEO, you're the HR, you're marketing, you're everything. And that's sometimes, and I've been there too, to where you're just like, whew, man, I just want to punch in at McDonald's and punch out when I'm done, and just go home. And then the next day you're like, man, I love what I do, you know? And there's 99% of your days you're like, man, I love what I do. I love leading. I love being able to, have employees that love their job. And, that's what you want to create. But yeah, there's days where you're like, whew, come on now.
Yeah.
And that's where you need, and then that's where maybe how has your faith helped you in those areas? Because I know for me, just, getting in the Word every day, God just humbling me and leading me has been huge. How does that play in your role there?
I know it always sounds terrible to say out loud, but I never really believed in the panic attacks and the anxiety. I'm like, if you're anxious, just don't be, it's so childish to me. But it's been I've never been to the point in my life before now, laying under your desk and crying. You're so overwhelmed, so stressed, you just don't know what to do. And the faith aspect, if it wasn't for God, I would have sold already. Just turn my keys and be like, yeah, take it. I'm over it.
Yeah.
It's waking up, and I wish I was more consistent on it, but getting in your Word and reading the Bible and praying to God and trusting Him with every single thing, having the open hand mentality and be like, I want you to take control of everything, because I know you'll put the good and you'll take the bad out. That's just something maybe it's just because, I'm a man, and it's I have to do it. I have to be in control. I can't give this to you because maybe, it's lack of faith or whatever the case may be. But but my faith is the only reason I'm for sure where I am and have enough power to even consider waking up every day, because the stress and the depression and anxiety and stuff outweighs me all the time. There's so many times where I don't want to get out of bed. I just lay there and I'm like, yeah, I'd be okay just laying here all day.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I think, a lot of people would look at you and I've been in the same boat. But people will look at you and be like, man, that dude's successful. He's got it figured out. He's just conquer the world. And that's where, that's people have done that with me. And then I'm same way. Man, I'm not worthy. I'm not a good leader. I'm not, and it's just the devil just tells you all these things in your head. And, like I said, like people look at you and be like, no, that's completely opposite. But it's just, that's something where you just got to listen to the good.
Yeah.
What would you tell somebody who is a business leader, a CEO, owner, president, whatever the case is, whether they're younger or older, it doesn't really matter, if that's not a part of their business, whether they're successful and everything's pretty good, to your point, sometimes under the hood, you don't really know what's going on with everybody, and social media and the highlight reels of what it looks like,
Right.
looks are deceiving. So there's a lot that goes into it, but what would you say to somebody who is in that spot and they're struggling, thinking, dude, I've tried everything. I'm trying to work more hours. I'm trying to get funds from here. I'm trying to do this or that, coaching, mentoring, like all good things. But we know as believers, that's the missing link for a lot of people. What would be your encouragement to someone that's like, dude, I've tried everything and I don't know about that though?
I mean, it's super hard to say just because my whole thing has just been like, I'm so in control. I want to be in control. And it's just like the whole let go, let God, like let go of the whole situation. Like God, like his plan is so much better than you could even imagine. Like, I mean, if I still held on to everything I wanted, I would still be trying. I'd probably still be in college.
Yeah.
I'd probably still be trying to start a storage unit because that was my dream. And I wouldn't be in the position where I am, like it's so hard, I think, especially for guys. Like there's so many things in the world that's like, you can't feel, you have to be in control, you have to do this. Like, it's just like, I'm just so against that. Like, I don't know, it's just, I don't know honestly how to answer your question, but besides just even for non-believers, like, even if you just try, just try letting your business be ran by God. Like you will see something. Like even if you don't even believe in Him, like it's just, I don't know. It's just something about letting, having the faith in God to, run your life, run your business, run your, marriage, run your family, like everything. Like he just makes everything better. Like it's such a pride and ego thing that I feel like for guys, it's not something that we're okay with doing. And
Yeah, I love how Cap always says it. Like it's his business, right? And when you start, this is your house, this is yours, and instead of that takes a lot of it off. Like, hey, God, this is your business. What do you want me to do with your business, and how do you want me to steward it? Because He gives us all the gifts that we have, and that kind of helped. Hearing Cap say that kind of helped change my mind shift of, okay, this isn't mine. He's just put me in this position to run it for Him while I'm here, and then it kind of helps take some of the stress off, being like, okay, he's in it. I know for sure. As long as I do what He's leading me to do, the windfall will be there. It'll overflow at some point. So that's always helped me here. And when Cap told me that, I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, he had talked about that not long ago. If I'm not mistaken, Tuesday mornings he's been doing a live on YouTube where he's talking about building wealth God's way and all these amazing things. And part of what he talked about, like that, you hit the nail on the head there. He talks about the difference between being an owner of your business, an owner of your house, even essentially an owner of your own life, versus a stewarder. He said renter, but he was like, really a better word is a stewarder, just utilizing what God's given you and letting Him lead you, and you're putting in some of the work. But he talked about it as in owning versus renting or stewarding a home. He's like, if you're stewarding and something breaks, then it's on the owner to fix it and pay for it and take care of it. But if you want to take ownership and be like, no, this is my life, no, this is my business, and like, great, you're the owner. Like, you fix it now. You put the money into it. You do this. And it's just so much weight on us when I've been sounding like a broken record, but it's just been this big theme for the last couple months of how much God loves to co-labor with us, that He is in control, that he knows the opportunities that he wants to present you with, the people he wants to link you up with, the things that he wants to have happen, and the people he wants to impact through your life and your business. But at the same time, like, he loves for us to come alongside with him and get our hands dirty and do some work. And there's a lot of growth that happens in there. And so, speaking of growth, it makes me think about that statistic that right after you took over and had Rockies, that you guys doubled the previous owner's sales, and then you ended up doubling your own sales the year following. What did it take for you to come in to where it was at and double the sales? What do you think was like the number one thing that made that possible?
There's two things. It's for sure it's just like the practicality of it. Like having material, like a big thing. Landscape jobs come up and you don't know what you're going to need. Everything's on the fly. So just having everything available, like readily available, like stock, like that's huge. Like, imagine walking into Walmart or whatever and there's nothing there. Why would you keep going back? That's a big thing. Just having the material there. And then on top of it, just being personable. I make it a point, to always, introduce myself, I don't know, just be there, be present. I'm not locked away in my office, hiding away. I am, in the yard stacking pallets, helping people with deliveries, hop in my truck, throw stuff in, I'll deliver it. It's just trying to be that person that people want to be around. And I feel like that's another thing, in my faith, that's one thing I try to do. I'm very bad at, being here's the gospel, if you don't do this, blank will happen, X, Y, Z. I'm more of in my head, I'm more of I want to be a good representation of Christ. People see me and are why is that guy like that? So that's another reason why the personable level of it, I think that's made us grown a lot. It's just because, I try to be nice. I try to be friendly. I try to go out of my way to help people. Someone calls and is I need this right now. Can you help me? I'm yes, I'm there. I'll hook up my trailer right now and I'll be there. Or even we do a big things direct loads, where it's called, we straight from the quarry to your job site. So we cut you a price break, and then because you're buying so much at once. And there's been times where I've, drove out to job sites with the front end loader and unloaded the truck for them so it's all ready because they couldn't make it there in time. Just trying to be that extra helping hand, where, and I think that's just been people want to come back to that.
Yeah.
Not just, you don't walk in and people are annoyed for doing their job. I have a smile on my face, even if I'm not happy, I'm happy to serve you. What can I do for you?
That's good.
That's amazing. I think such a big element of that for sure is your faith. It's that Mark 10:45 that Jesus himself, God in the flesh, came to not be served, but to serve. So when we can implement that into our businesses and really seek to provide value to people and help people and bring our best self and be intentional to provide great products or services and build that relationship, I think that goes the extra mile. They always talk about people buy from people they like when they feel like there's a relationship there and you're taking that extra step to do that, then that goes miles longer than you think it might. And so it makes me think, what would you say is next for Rockies? Obviously you're young and figuring stuff out and just, I was gonna say rocking this out. I'm just I can't say that because the pun is just too crazy. But you're doing a great job with what you're doing. Do you see yourself running, operating, and growing Rockies for years and years to come? Is there another business you'd like to start? Would you like to open up locations in other states and other places? What do you feel like is the end goal with it, or what do you see happening as you expand and continue to grow?
Yeah. For sure, my game plan is, keep Rockies, and I want to get it to the point where, I have different locations around, even just the Omaha area, but surrounding cities. 'Cause I don't want to get to the point where I'm stretching too far, where if I have to drive, 8 hours to fix an issue, I just think that's too far for me. I want to keep it around a 3 hour, something I could be there and back in a day, like kind of stuff like that. And, just opening up different locations, but I want to make sure I get my business model right. And, I want to wait to the point where I get like all the products I was hoping for, not even just natural stone. Like I want to get, like we're in the process of getting, like aluminum edging, like, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but, aluminum edging around like landscape beds and getting like pond liners and like pumps and landscape lights. Like I want to make sure I know exactly what sells, what doesn't sell, like build a replicable, company that I can, just copy and paste kind of deal. Like just, but to answer your question, like, yeah, Rockies is my long-term type of stuff. Like I think I found the thing that I was called to do, like, and that's, own this business, run it, grow it, and just, keep multiplying it.
So good.
One thing real quick, so like one thing you talked about, having the burden of, running the whole show can be a lot. As you look forward, if you do want to grow, what are some areas that you feel like, okay, I do it right now, but I'm not great at it. So I want to try to find somebody else to plug into that, to take some of that burden off of you. So, because sometimes Brett Elliott talked about, we ourselves as owners can be the ceiling, to where if we can plug other people in, then the ceiling can, we can even make it bigger. Is there any areas in there that you're looking at like, hey, these are some things that as I grow, I'm going to start handing these things off because of that?
Yeah. I mean, I for sure help run a lot of the day-to-day stuff. And, one of my guys, he is hell-bent on this. Like, he hates when I take deliveries. Like, I love giving out my card and be like, here's my cell. Like, call me, text me, anything you need. Like, let me know. And I think, honestly, if that causes tension, where, like, I have an office gal. She's amazing. Like, and I have, even delivery driver, he's amazing. And I have a yard guy who, like, runs the yard, fixes everything. Like, he's amazing. Like, I have these 3 key people that each do their job amazingly. And I'm always so willing to, like, jump into everything day to day when I'm supposed to, be bigger picture. Where, like, and it causes a lot of tension, because I'll take, 3 deliveries in one day where my office gal has just taken, 3 deliveries. And then we're like, oh, frick, like, how are we supposed to, like, it's just, so long story short, to answer your question, like, 1, try to get out of the day to day. Like, build my business, not like, be running, like,
Right.
like to run your business, not run your business or whatever. But, and then on top of it, I am not an accountant. I quickly learned that.
Will's not.
I just hired an HR and accounting girl. It's like, I'm like, oh, finally. It was like the best thing in the world, dude, because I hate it.
Yeah. And staring at numbers, I don't know how anyone can do it.
It's so nerdy.
Even a good, a good situation to show is when I first bought the company, I thought sales tax was automatically withdrawn. I thought, someone pays me sales tax, the government just took care of it.
So somehow they magically get it out of your account.
No. I racked up like a 6-figure debt to the government.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
That's a good learning experience.
and there's my undeveloped 22-year-old mind.
Yeah.
But it took
plus interest and penalties. Yeah.
actually the government's very nice with the
Yeah, the interest is pretty low. Yeah, I've done it before. Yeah,
So-
I owed him money.
Yeah, I mean, so this last year, the first year didn't pay sales tax. Second year I had to pay 2022 and 2023 sales tax in the same year, which sucked. But hiring a bookkeeper made so much sense. Like, took so much burden off of me. Just helped manage that. So, like,
Right.
it was just, I feel like I'm supposed to be, quote unquote, the face of the company. Like, I'm supposed to be the person, meeting people, like, introduce, like, almost like the salesman. Even though I hate salesmen, hate them. But, yeah, just be that person that, is supposed to be seen. Like, and share the vision and, like, show them what we got. Like, I just feel like that's my purpose or calling, or to be side of the business. Like, just because I feel like when I do that and I focus on that, I see so much, like, growth in it.
Right. Yep.
As we wrap up here, I got maybe 1 or 2 final questions for you. One of them that I'm thinking, just because it's something I've been pretty involved in recently, is just this idea of creating content and putting yourself out there. Myron Golden talks about how marketing isn't finding people to buy your stuff. It's just making yourself more findable for the people that would love to buy from you. So as far as it goes for yourself and Rockies, what is your idea when it comes to creating content, being on social media, marketing your business? They still say even to this day, and social media is just 10x this principle, but that word of mouth is so important. I'm sure you've seen the fruits of that as you do a great job for someone, you're relational, they like you, they enjoy the process, it's as seamless as possible. They go tell their friends in the neighborhood if they're looking for some kind of work like that. But as far as it goes with doing media, content creation, and some of the new, if you will, newer tactics of marketing with the internet and social media, what's your idea on that, or is that something that you'd like to grow in the future and continue doing?
I know for me, it's a big thing is, word of mouth. And then on top of it, just, the free social media platforms like Facebook is huge. And then, I always am so surprised when people show up. They're like, I saw you on Facebook. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, awesome. And then Instagram, so. I just feel like Facebook is maybe more my market. But I think very untapped market in the landscape supply industry, or even just landscape industry, is it's missing the whole like I feel like it's such like a rugged industry, just very tough. Like obviously you're working in, like, most owners are working in the field, they're building the walls, they're building the patios, like XYZ, and so you don't get the appreciation of like hiring even like a professional photographer, videographer, like whatever, and like taking like the before afters. Like I feel like there's a handful of companies in Omaha that do really good at that, and I'm super jealous of them. And I think that's like an untapped market that I would love to get into. Just using everything that has been provided for us, like the amazing cameras, drones, like just all the creative side of things, because I just feel like in the landscape world everything is creative. Like you're building something from nothing.
Yeah.
So why not capture it and show the world? Like
Yeah,
even if it's just in the Omaha area, but like why not? Like I don't know, I just feel like that's something that's not hit on very well, and I feel like I would love to like be focusing my time and energy in that. So.
Great. Let's just end off on this. If you had one final piece of advice for anyone out there wanting to get into business, or if you had to boil down all of your time, your almost 10 years, like we said, coming up here in a couple of years, which is crazy, of experience, the biggest lesson you've learned, we've talked about a couple of them really at this point, but if you just had to boil it down, what's the one thing you would tell somebody, the biggest lesson you can pull from all the time, all the experience, all the successes, all the failures that you've had during your 7-8 years of doing this?
I would say just do not do it alone. Like swallow your pride, put away your ego, like whatever the case is. Like it's so much easier doing it with people that love you, support you, want you to succeed. Like, even Jesus, he had 12 disciples. Like, he could have done it on his own, but like you go a lot farther with the people around you that are, same mission, same drive, same, passion. Like as soon as I, put away my pride, ego, and started focusing on like, using the people in my corner, like I was able to go so much farther, so much faster. So I would just say, don't do it alone. Find your team, your tribe, and get it done.
Amazing.
That was good.
Will, anything to end off with here?
No, man, I'd say that's a great advice. It's hard to celebrate and clang the glasses together, and so as you're doing a toast or a cheers when there's nobody else to do it with, right? So that's great. That's great. I love it. But no, man, it's been good to hear your story. Good to hear that, man, you're successful, and man, you're no different than any other business owner. Some days, man, we just wake up and we don't feel like we got the power in us, but we just got it. Man, just keep praying and keep asking God to fill us with the Holy Spirit and give us the power, give us the vision, give us the passion. You can make it work. So, man, yeah, it's awesome.
So good, my man. Anything else to throw out there? Good to rock on everything?
Rock.
Dude, I know. I was like,
Rock.
man, I can't say good to rock on anything.
Yeah.
I can't say anything about rocking, or he's going to look at me, haha, rock. Well, no, man, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thanks for just being vulnerable and talking about things.
Yeah.
It's always cool to talk about the business, talk about the systems, talk about employees and revenue and all that top level stuff, but to get really deep and talk about, dude, my life changed when I started going to therapy, when I started finding out how to manage stress, how to really rely on God to help me run the business that's essentially his, all that stuff. That's really the core of what we want to share with people. We know that we can't live this life alone and do the things that God's called us to do without first being empowered by him and continuing to lean on him for his strength and his direction. And so, man, Jacob, just want to say thank you again for being here. Where can people find you at on social media, your website, all that good stuff? Shout yourself out. So if someone's looking for some fire landscaping, they can hit you up.
Rocky Stone Design. We have a website, Instagram, Facebook. Nothing to it.
There you go.
Simple. Well, thank you so much for being on, my man. We will catch you guys on the next episode of the Traditions and Trends podcast. Thanks so much for watching.